So one very essential tool for making this Roman-style thin crust pizza is this perforated, very thin pizza peel. There's a lot of different kinds of pizza peels. There's thick wooden ones, there's thicker steel ones, there's ones without perforations. It's very important that you get a thin one that is perforated because it's the most delicate. It's going to be able to sweep underneath this very thin dough, and it's going to release also a lot of flour that's been on the bottom of this bench, because usually when you're making pizzas you don't need as much bench flour as you do for this Roman pizza crust because of how thin it is and how sticky it can be. So this releases some of that flour, so you don't have an excess on the bottom of the pizza when it goes into the oven. So this is the only part that requires some level of technique and finesse, but after some time it becomes very, very simple to do because it's a very thin tool and gets under that pizza very well. So it's a sweep. You want to keep the pizza peel at an angle, almost 45 degrees on the table, and then just push it pretty quickly under the dough. And you don't need to get all the way under. You can get about halfway first, and then take the other half when you get there. And I'll show you exactly how that's done. So I got about halfway, and then I'm pushing again, and pushing again, until it sweeps on the crust. And I can show you that one more time. Get under halfway, and you can see it's wrinkling up, and that doesn't bother me at all because I can always pull it back and straighten it out. And just by shaking like that, you can straighten out the dough. And once it's on this peel, then you can just tap it gently, and that releases some of the flour from underneath, and then we can transfer it right into the oven. Now, I'm working with a wood-burning oven. At home, you can use a pizza steel that you heat into the oven for 45 minutes before you go in there, and it's so much easier because you don't have to be worrying about spinning the pie over and over again. For about 5 minutes, the pizza should be done. You check it after 5 minutes, but if a pizza steel has been heating in your oven at maximum temperature, and most home ovens get to about 550, so if you can get it to 600, even better. Just jack it all the way up, and then have that hot pizza steel waiting for you. But I'm going to throw it into this wood-burning oven, and we're going to have to spin it a few times to make sure that it doesn't char too much on one side versus the other. So when you're working in a wood-burning oven versus a home oven, the flame is built on one side. So that means that you're getting side heat hotter on one than on the other. So you have to make sure that the pie spins a couple times. Usually it's 2 spins so that you can get 3 sides of the pizza evenly charred. In a home oven, that's a lot easier because the heat is circulating all the way around the dough in an even temperature, so long as your oven is working properly. And you don't ever have to worry about it. I would keep the oven door closed the entire time and check it after 3 minutes to make sure that you have good even charring. If it needs a spin, if you feel like the back of your oven's hotter than the front, then you can give it a spin. But generally speaking, with home-cooked pizzas in a home oven on top of a pizza steel, you don't have to spin them. So one other essential tool that's a little restaurant trick for making a great crispy pizza, whether it's a Roman thin crust or any other style, is to have one of these perforated resting racks. And what this does is when you pull the pizza out of the oven and you lay it on top of this, it gives a place for the steam and the heat that's being generated by the bottom of that pizza crust to escape, rather than it going directly on a flat surface where that steam is trapped and it starts to make the crust a little bit soggy. So that initial 10 seconds when the pizza lands, if it's landing on a resting rack, you're going to end up with a much crispier crust because you allowed that steam to escape. And when our pizza's done, we're going to take this same pizza peel and just gently sweep it off the floor, and then transfer it to our rack. And then you're going to be able to pick the pizza up, and it should be very sturdy, and you should be able to see on both sides, right? You got a nice even charring on the bottom, and nice even charring around the crust as well. And this is just a classic red pie, a marinara. And it's a great way to practice and to get good at your technique of sweeping and pulling out of the oven. And you can see that it's kind of crackery on the edges, but then where it's sauced, you still have some bend to it. It can bend without cracking, but on the edges where it's not sauced, it has that crack to it. And that's the key to me for a good Roman thin crust pizza, is having both the crack and the chew present in the dough.